The rise and fall of the world's nation dictates the balance of power. Today you may gain a powerful ally. Tomorrow you may lose that same ally to plague, disease, or war. It takes but a little to make a nation grow, yet far more to truly subjugate it. Rasmu al-Habad, Mesor. Welcome everyone to another video. Today we're looking at What If Civilization Started Over, episode 30, Human Scenario, Age of Kingdoms. Now, why I said episode 30 first and not this area that I said first, well, that's up to interpretation. But last video we did see a lot happen and I kind of dragged it out. But as you can see, the Ankarian Empire has been made with two little puppets, Turkas and Cyprus. These two will be the puppets of Ankara, and the Emperor of Ankros will be very powerful in this region, and even Freysa and Rhoda will look out for his friendship. If they gain it, they are safe for whatever they need. Additionally, Venetia sees during a harsh winter, it sees a plague. Radishes among the commoners, radishes are used to commonly give anyone the ability to survive a harsh winter. Sometimes it can be very bad, although it's a very bad staple of food, while other times it's just normal to see. But this time we do see that a plague will befall the radishes, turning them green, and hence will be named the Green Radish Plague. As we do see 4,000 commoners across the Venetian holdings will start to starve and die off, and around in the initial month around 15,000 die. In the second month a further 7.6 thousand die of hunger and the inability to eat anything. We quickly see that due to this, they will be weakened greatly and their army size is shrunk, as many of their soldiers were on vacation over here or even back at home, and once many made it back and started to live a bit more normally for a few months, we quickly see that the plague hits and the Green Radish Plague decimates the Venetian troops. And we quickly see with this, if the Venetian second army is forced to come back, as many nations that they have been subjugating see themselves able to now hold up to the Venetians in some form, and so Venetia decides that to pull their forces out of here to stop any more, to grant their people the ability to be defended and helped by the army. Over here we do see that the first army remains where it is, although it's greatly weakened. It does still manage to defend anything it sees, but we quickly see a very large problem will arise as a quick, and I do mean quick movement of the tongue will cause, well, not the tongue, but the quick move by the many people over here that want their independence. Quickly sees that this colony will quickly say we want independence and we shall gain it, and once they do, Venetia tells these guys to move in, but before they can, this nation quickly is annexed into the kingdom of Naplosia, as they have seeked to do so for a while. With that being said, we do see Naplosia has just bought some more territory from these guys, and even made their border over here a bit better, as they kind of saw it as a bit worse. But we do see that the kingdom of Naplosia does start to do some stuff over here, and Carthagia does support the Naplosians. They just want some territory over here, and that is only one other village, that is the southern one, and then they shall leave these guys alone. That is written in a promise. And we eventually see that it will be decreed that this guy over here, Cisalia, kind of loses that. Yeah. Well, we quickly see that Cisalia will have no choice eventually but to marry into the Naplosians' great kingdom, And we quickly see that the Kingdom of Noplosia quickly decides the outcome of many things over here. As Isaiah usually would have been a good trading place, it was in a great position. But since Carthage came along and became a lot stronger, it has been doing hell for the few that are here. We quickly also see that I will return to the fronts over here, where we're going to get a few more things happening to everyone over here. And I'll be also turning off the nation names. If any one of you want to name a nation, there's a few still that you can name. And put that down in the comments if you do want to do so, but yeah. Going over here, we do see that the Li Ying dynasty quickly sees that its leader will be a coward and leave their nation alone. And when the forces of the Li Jingxi finally befall the gates of this town, the fight continues until about 5 months in. And during those 5 months, we do see that over here many of the Melji troops do manage to push into these areas, taking this village and pushing towards this town, which is less defended than it should be, although it is not a supply town. With supply towns being quickly cut off in the terms that many of the troops cannot be well fed or given food to because of the increasing amount of troops that are cutting them off from any supplies. We quickly see that over here many of these troops kind of either give up or at the first sign of any fight will just give up. With that being said, the first siege of another town will begin, and over here another siege will also begin, with the first time a encirclement tactic would be used by these guys. Well, not the first time, but the first time it was pretty effective. And we quickly see once these two villages were taken and even a bit of the army went on to almost reach the puppet's capital, we do see that this town and this town also fell, giving the Ailongs the very large problem of having to deal with both enemy troops and Uji troops moving into their territories. As we quickly see that Uji troops will push into these regions with the help of Ailong with the Li Jingxi troops. We quickly see that the Li Jingxis will take the southern front and the Ujis will take the eastern front. Over here we do see that the Meljis have made a large gain, even pushing as far as the other town down south. Although they have only made that far of a progress, over here we do see that they push past this town and quickly take over this village. Even though it was well defended, the defenders were unable to defend it effectively, as they were put into positions that did not favor their capabilities. We quickly see that the readers of Ailong will be surprised when a weird bunch of ships appear off the coast over here. We quickly see that these ships have been sailing from Li Jingxi all the way over to these areas down here, even to this town. And for the first time we see that a new weapon will be used, and it will be called the Grey Powder. The Grey Powder is a rare thing made in Taipeta and bought by Li Jingxi in massive quantities. And in testing they decided to make a cannon. Being the first of its type, it is not as good, but they do use it to make smaller paper surrounded rockets. Although the parchment they use is very weak, it still holds up quite well. And we quickly see once more Uji troops start to reach into these territories over here and even almost cut off the forces over here from any food and water that they could get from the main nation. We quickly see that some of these landings over here will be quick and swift, as we quickly see that the Li Jingxis will send out their best troops to land over here, taking over these areas, quickly manage to give them the ability to surround it and take it by surprise, which eventually gives them the ability to take this region. in a surprise attack. In according with that, they also pushed this far, but they were stopped around this village, where they were eventually pushed back up only a bit. And we quickly see that the Ujis came to their help, but by the time that they did, the Legionnaires had stopped their advance. But not only had they stopped their advance because of that, they had stopped their advance because of this island, because it has been holding out for a while. But the navy surrounds this and uses its rocket arrows, which is the first time anyone has seen them in full action, to pelt the walls and areas around the island. And we quickly see that the areas around the island, areas that are still left, are kind of fought against. We also see that the last of the Li Jingxi also fall over here, which, even though this is the Meng Jing that are over here, I kind of call them Li Jingxi, not Li Jingxi, Li Jing, and that's not true. But once the city finally falls, we quickly see that both Ai Long and the surrounding people over here that are being currently encircled and taken out, as well as sieged, will start to see much attrition begin to set in, as food becomes rationed, food becomes very scarce, and the most productive fields quickly run out of space for even more rice. Rice has become the staple food source of many Korean people, and it cannot be helped when a large disease comes through and wipes most of the crops out. With this, it seems that even the forests are against them. Even nature is against the Ai Longs, who have finally met their match after mocking nature by setting ablaze another town. Because they set this town ablaze because they thought it would fall easily, so they didn't want that to happen too quickly. So they just massacred the people there mostly, and just took it over. Although once they gave up this town and the siege over there ended quite fast, we see that the forces over here of the Meiji quickly pushed out into these areas. They had long since taken this and even capitulated the area over here. Now they only had this puppet over here. We quickly see that their efforts do field a good amount of fruit, and we quickly see that the yields are very large, and the offensive towards this village goes pretty well once they start to attack it. And once we see that the village falls, most of these areas around and the regions of here will fall to the Meiji, who see mostly no resistance, as many of their forces are not stopped. Although near the towns and around the towns they are stopped. For the Ujis, they will continue their attack, eventually encircling that with the help of the Meiji, of course. They will encircle this town over here, and basically without any food, this town just recognizes it is doomed and it surrenders to the Uji, not the Meiji, because then they know that Meiji would kinda slit their throats out of pure hatred. But we finally see that the fighting reaches this capital over here, and once the capital falls, it quickly is called the same as the areas over here that are how do I say this in the right context? It is, its capital status for this puppet over here is taken away, and it's quickly just told to be a little thing over here. Plus all the records of the offensive towards here were burnt in a fire, so no one knows what if actually happened, but they do in the future it is still seen that the parchment and that did survive tells about an entire Meiji offensive being stopped in a mere village, although once it was stopped there they just pushed along the areas over here and took a town, which eventually led to the fall of the village and another village down south to it. And it would be known not for many years that the people over here that would have been subjugated below the islands haven't. And once these guys got news that there was still a bit of people who clinged on to a different possibility of retaking their nation, which was over here, we quickly see that the allegiances will provide their own forces to help them take this town over here to finally recreate their own dynasty. Although it has since then its fall renamed itself to another dynasty. We quickly see that this attack over here will be successful, and with the final attacks over here to kind of take over these regions, Ailong has finally made notice of these people, but it was too late, as this people quickly say that they will liberate out of Northern Korea. We quickly see that not only does Korea see some bad stuff, it sees that down south it loses both Jeju and another island, the Tokushima and the Jeju's. I think that's Jeju Island. I'm not sure. I'm not even based a bit, but we quickly see that over here the attacks from this guy are quick and swift. They quickly take this town, and once they reach this town they quickly take it. Although their attacks are pretty strong, once the Ujis and Meiji do arrive into these regions, it is quickly shown that the Meijis are very strong and still able to push while everyone else is unable to do so. But the years of campaigning and attacking two different nations, well, three technically, has eventually worn down the Ailongs and their people, as well as the opposite side. We quickly see that this side will have its final battle at the Battle of, well, this town, I'm not sure. What was it? I have to check at some point. But the Battle of the Leng Bridge, it will be called because a bridge over here to this town will be fought over. And we quickly see over 1,000 troops fight for it. But eventually the Meiji win. And with the win over here, we quickly see that Ailong gives up and says, you know what, you won, we're just giving up. We cannot fight on again. And we quickly see that this war will end with a alliance victory. And we quickly see that even this guy kind of contributed over here, because, well, yeah, they just wanted some territory. And we quickly see that the first areas that are taken are very surprisingly some territories over here, which are quickly puppeted by we know who. But yeah, they're just taken over. This nation over here does manage to take over these regions and also pushes its borders quite far. Although when it asks the Meiji for a lot of land down south, it is kind of denied, but the Ujis do give it a bit of land up north that it once had. Eventually the Meijis even give in and give them 2 new towns, quickly giving them the ability to just take over all of the lands and consolidate their power as Northern Korea. Northern Korea will change its name, not to kinda a different name, but well, yeah. We quickly see that the remaining Ailongs will also try and save their nation, and we quickly see that the lands granted down here will be minimized into this area, where we see that Southern Korea takes a lot of territory, but in a agreement, Ailong will lose its lands over here to what appears to be a preset agreement between the rebels that it had and the nations of here that quickly decided that it would be better for everyone if they just didn't allow the Koreans to fully take everything. And we quickly see that with this, a new nation will be born. Although it is small, it is born out of this region over here. And we also see that this part of this thing, yeah, it just stays the same for a bit. Although we quickly see this nation coming into existence, another nation will be forcefully returned to its previous abilities, well, previous size, and we quickly see that many people will be overjoyed when their lands are granted, when they are granted some lands, and we quickly see that the Kaijians are quickly going to move from this area to this area, and most of them do so out of just necessarily they just do so. We also see that the Meljis will create a new nation over here, although they will also take a bit of its territories, seeking to kinda minimize any new nations over here. Speaking of taking territory, they will also take some territories along this pink nation, and they will also push quite far into the nation over here. And Yolkachi is not ready for the amount of partitioning and well, split upping it's going to see, and we quickly see that when it eventually sees itself, well, having all of these problems, Yolkaji will be just left to one thing, and that is basically it loses a lot of its territory. That's what happens to it. Over here we do see that these guys also take over this nation, basically just wanting to take it over, so the Chengjis kind of take that over. Let me just quickly draw the peace treaty. So here's the peace treaty, and as we can see, many nations will gain some territory, but let's start with the largest, that being Chengxi. It will take the western portions of Yolkachi, trying to at least kind of weaken them, and over here it fully re-annexes this nation, even though it doesn't really exist anymore. They take this over. Let me just fix some capital stuff. And there we go. Also, Li Jingxi wanted to make a puppet over here to kind of control the trade that goes through here, to stop this guy from getting any trade, or just stop them from getting a bit too powerful. While they were doing that, the Ujis have set up a entire kind of puppet state over here, which they have kind of have a dispute over, because Yolkachi decided to dispute it, although they're not supposed to. They still disputed it. Meiji will take these regions, becoming even more stronger, and this nation over here will also take these areas. We also see that this nation over here takes these areas, and these two nations just stay as they are. We see Ailong kind of falls from power over here. They are no longer number 2. They are very much down the drain. And yeah, this guy has basically become very powerful, and at this point, no one would dare attack them. Mostly. No one. But that's just foreshadowing. For now, we'll go over to Ankara, where we see a very weird thing happening, as Ankara has decided, you know what, let's just do something stupid. And the thing that is stupid that they do is that they send an ultimatum over to Athens. Leave these islands over here that I'm going to show you right now. It's basically these islands, and these two islands too, and give us these areas, or we will invade you. And just to give you a bit of perspective here, these guys may seem like they have no armies, but as we can see, these two armies, yeah, they are very large, and they're even stronger than the Athens one. And Athens still thinks that Ankara is trying to build a army So it tries to just show some power by going over to the city and trying to just kind of show off their large navy. But when they see an army pass through here, going over to this town over here, they are scared. They are so scared, in fact, that decide that, yo, we may be like a smaller nation, but can we just give you a few less islands? And Ankara is like, nope, give us what we want or we will invade you. And we quickly see that Athens will have to give up these territories, even though it doesn't really do much for them to give these up. It still kind of hurts them navally, because these areas were helping them defend from any, basically, if they had more territory, it would mean that they have more areas to go to if Sparta ever made it, or Thessaly ever made it. Speaking of Thessaly, they are in a crisis. They are in a super crisis because one of the sons over here has decided that his nation is better than his brother's nations, and he has declared independence. Now, Thessaly doesn't really have the thing that if a prince says that he wants independence from his brother people, and tries to do it by, well, unlawfully saying that, yo, we're now a nation, you can't do anything. It's seen as a rebellion against the power of Thessaly, and we quickly see that both of the sons over here, the families of these sons, will quickly have to fight over here against their own brother. And we quickly see that the brother over here is more strategically adept than they are, but he still does not manage to take back the two little villages that he did lose at the beginning of the conflict, although he's still making some advances along both of these areas. As soon as we do see his large entrance, though, we do see a large amount of his troops push into these areas, taking both of these two villages quite fast, and then pushing forward to cut off Montenegrin and Venetian help to this area over here. Although these guys move fast and very fiercely, we do see that they're unable to kind of attack over here quite well. Reason being because they just can't fully invade. And also they are quickly trying to gain favor over here. But the problem is that the more favor that they try to gain, the more that they see there is problem to have. We quickly see that not only will Thessaly annex both of these areas, they will also see this over here as a legitimate actual invasion. And once that becomes true, we see that these guys, yeah, they may be cooked, like royally, but they still manage to push quite far. They take these two villages, then they take that village and one last village before they are kind of stopped around here. So then they use their massive force to go more down south, and once they are stopped over here, they again go for this area, taking these two villages, eventually taking this whole town. And we quickly see that due to the losses of these losses being so severe, Thessaly begins seeing some problems, especially in its eastern areas. As we quickly see, an entire rebellion will form against the emperor. And we quickly see that due to this, the emperor will be unready when the war happens, because he's currently focusing on one of his sons' rebellion, causing very much of a ruckus. We will see that this entire rebellion over here, being unexpected and everything, quickly becomes very important, because if you have a rebellion going on during a war, you need to fight both or you lose one. Because if you lose to one, you lose to another, and if you lose to another, then you lose to more, and that's something that they don't want. And we quickly see that these areas over here kind of declare their intent to dethrone the emperor, and they quickly move in these regions, taking them over. With their buffer zone created, they take over the eastern regions over here and the islands over here to make it harder for them to be taken. Although when they did take the island regions, they managed to annex them into their own nation. And we quickly see that over here Faisal will begin their slow decline, as their military is extremely outdated, and the nation over here is getting help from Montenegro, who are giving them better and more capable equipment. With that being said, the final forces of Faisal are pushed out of that region, and we quickly see that over here the Faisal Empire is starting to fall. Once a great power over here, having not done too much and not having fought a war and like forever, they have started to weaken and become more softer. And with softness becomes weakness, and with weakness that gives about like hard times. And we quickly see that eventually the capital will be threatened after this town is taken, and we quickly see that both the rebellion and the nation over here will push over to the capital and start a full-on siege. This siege will last years, but we quickly see that the Faisal Empire falls over, and once it does, we quickly see that both of these guys decide that it's high noon to do something about this whole war. Now we quickly see that this nation annexes some of these territories, seeking to take pretty much a lot from their own father nation. But we quickly see that Faisal does exist still, but its lands over here are mostly for decoration. Over here we do see that this nation is given independence too, even though the Faisals are very much against it. It does gain a bit of territory over here along the coastline, and we quickly see that Faisal is very mad at that. With that also being said, we do see that Faisal will be able to recover some of its territories along the actual Faisalian territory, territorial regions, basically. But as we are talking, I'll have to quickly just do that. We'll see that not only will these areas become very, very important for the Faisal Emperor, he quickly becomes a laughingstock because of this failure. Over here he does regain these two areas, but Faisal won't be as important as it was before, and we quickly see that this nation over here quickly falls apart, with it pulling into two parts, this eastern and this western part. With the western part being more aligned with these two than this guy is aligned with them, we quickly see that this guy over here is annexed into the Fresi nation, and the islands over here were also not taken by the breakaway over here. So Fresi kind of gained a lot of population and a lot of land. With that being said, we quickly also see that something very interesting is going on, as Fresi is mostly, if not fully, it's actually fully Turkic. And we see that due to this, most nations would have said, you know what, how about we just don't expand in other nations' territories that have different people in them. But Fresi decides that it's a bit of a tough guy and goes on a bit of a rampage. It quickly decides to annex this island, which wasn't a bad idea, but still angers Athens. Then they're gonna go down south, decide, I want, which island do I want? You know what, I'm just gonna take this island. Actually, the color ain't even visible. So they go over here to take this region, although it's not very important for the Bulgarians or Romanians over here. It's still important enough to kind of have a fight about. And we quickly see that once they gain this region, news about all the things that are going up in the north and over here finally reach them, and they're like, hello, what has been going on over there? And Fresi brings news of an entire different nation group, because they thought Odessa, Kiev, like these nations were the only ones on the coast, but Then the rest of Moscovia, Estia, Latvia, Livonia, Lithuania, Poland, Prussia. They learned all about this region. They already knew much about these regions, although what they didn't see was about, I think. Oh, the Neanderthal tribes are still here. Well, damn. Well, good thing I'm getting rid of that. Yippee. But with the news of this reaching everyone down south, the Sapiens are like, yo, there's like this nation that just fell to larger nations. Well, smaller nations that made a coalition. So that could happen to us. I'm just saying Estia is larger in size. I'm betting all my money that Estia is larger than it looks. So this guy, if we kinda copy pasted it, we have this being the whole thing. So we quickly see that its regions kind of cover a lot of these regions over here and are basically that's the mainland Venetia is the same size as Naplosia, but oh hell. Well, this would actually kind of fit in that area and a few other things, but wait, could I just quickly wait? Let me try something. All right, so here we have both Venetia and Estia. With Estia being around 7,000, well, yeah, 7,000, around 8k, and I was right. Estia is bigger. It's like a small difference, but this guy is like almost like it's 16 away from basically becoming 8k, and this is like 2 plus like 52, yeah, like 42 away from becoming a 242. That's the number how far it is. This guy is very much farther, so it's like a pretty strong difference, but you can actually see it. Now I have to try it. I just legit have to try it, because I kinda haven't like done most of it. Oh. Fuck, there's so many that are like, oh god. Huh? How did you how? Tell me. Do you give up on that? No. Wait, let me just quickly adjust the colors here. The database is still noticeable. You know what? F it. Copy, and now paste. Oh! So this is what it looks like. Oh god, it looks like without everything around it, it looks so different too. Like it's, you could cover it, like, oh, you can fit the entire Avestia in it. Jesus Christ. And that's without like its puppets. Damn. That's like already too much. This is like, I'm discovering a new word, that technically. What the bruh? I have to do this. I have to. It's in my blood, brother. It's in my blood. It's in my blood. But yep. This is the final time I do this. Holy hell, you can fit turkey in it. It's, oh my god. Oh. Technically. could work out. Could work out. Or even better. Aha. Look. So, Americans, how would you feel about this being your new... Actually, America Part 2. Yeah, I'm making jokes here. But, real quick, I'm just gonna show you guys, real quick, what these two beside each other would kind of look like. Because it would be so cool. Actually, wait. Let me just real quick go back to political. Do this once again. Copy twice because I want to make sure. And huh? Yo, damn, damn. Jesus Christ. You could fit Anchor in there, or where barely you could barely fit it in there. Jesus Christ. You can fit both Venetia and Estia in here. It's like, Jesus Christ, we have a mouth for it. Oh my god. It's eating Estia. Oh my god, look at it. It's eating Estia. Oh god, it ate it. Oh, damn. But this is like a very, very good like reference image for like future things. So we can like have recorded borders. So I may do like recorded borders, basically, at some point. Depends mostly, but yeah. Let's get back to everything I was planning and am still planning to do. So the Indus Empire has been very powerful for past few episodes, and it's now ready to re-begin its conquests. With its first conquest being along this guy's border, although the conquests are small, if they were to be, well, given this area over, as you can see, they would kind of gain all the territory. We even see that in the case of them taking so much territory, they would become very large. We will also see that many of these regions will be taken over quite quickly, but they will eventually be stopped by rival elephants who do not want to give over their territory, and the we see that the Indian elephants quickly understand each other's pains and what the Mohan these guys have been doing, the green guys, and quickly see that due to this, large parts of this nation is kinda liberated, and eventually we quickly see that this guy manages to survive just barely, and even gain some territory along the way. It's just because it could. That's what's going to happen. Over here we see a new war beginning, and that's between the Greens and these guys. Although we do see that the Greens are able to do a lot, and I mean a lot of damage, they will be unable to defend against a 2 area over here attack, but once they got over here, they were like, yo, let's just invade this guy, take this over, and these guys were like, yo, this is actually a good idea. Let me just quickly just annex this area, and let me just start a entire invasion into these regions. Nothing will be wrong over here. And we quickly see that this nation is basically swept under the rug. It's taken over and just annexed, as it kind of is. But with this, the question of what will the border look like comes up, and surprisingly, these guys give up some territory. Although this is kind of what the territories that we do see, this is the territories as of current. This area over here, long since sold to this guy. This guy already managed to do a war over here, managed to gain some territory. And I'm doing this because I'm kind of running out of time. I have like 2 minutes to say some stuff. But during all of this chaos over here and all of this chaos over here, we see that over in Japan, this nation over here has been fueling the fires of war, and we quickly see that Kyushu will be the one they are fueling. The fires of war will compel them to attack their southern breakaway. We quickly see that with the southern breakaway quickly falling over to their large might and strength, it quickly becomes very possible that the Kyushans did manage to do a lot. Now, if we go over the basics, the real quick basic things, and what's going on currently, there's another war. Although the Kyushans are winning, they lost some islands that they would have wanted, and now it's just Northern Kyushu and them. Both of them are very strong, but Shikoku, Shikoku over here, it's invaded. This guy was already planning this for a long time, but once it did manage to put feet on the ground, we quickly see that it managed to overwhelm the Shikokans who weren't ready for this battle. And we quickly see that Shikoku falls over in Shippy. We quickly also see that over here this nation is quickly brought together with this guy, creating a larger, more stronger nation. Although it was created because of strength problems, we quickly see that the Huns will take over this nation, and they will eventually annex this one, quickly becoming stronger and very, very divided. Over here we see that this nation quickly takes over this thing, and for the first time we see a Asian war between these guys and these guys over here. Now this occurred because of trade problems. These two had a disagreement among trade because this guy already wanted this nation to become independent. This guy annexed it, and this guy was like, yo, I'm gonna help you, and all the help was blocked, and they were like, yo, let me help him. This guy's like, yo, that's just helping us. And they're like, no, you're not there, they are there, and you're not supposed to be there, so get the fuck out of there. And that kinda didn't sit well with this guy, who quickly just invaded them and quickly showed that these guys were a big people tiger, and even though they were kind of powerful, their current leader was a big scaredy cat and arrogant brat. So, yep, we see that, all of this. Now that's something new. Welcome the noises of polish. Also, we see that the escaping Taiwanese, or whoever is over here, we quickly see that the Filipino people quickly move into these regions, taking most of it over. But once they do take over these regions, they just take over the entire island, and the islands around them that are in their immediate vicinity are taken over. So we see that this Filipino nation becomes very powerful, and in the south we do see that some islands do make their own kind of empires or something similar, with this nation becoming the first actual Filipino nation. And then we see another one popping up, although this one was all the way in the south, where people, if I'm correct, have settled. We will quickly see that most of these regions over here will most of the southern regions will be taken over by this nation, which quickly does not want to fight any wars, as it's kind of peaceful. It's a peaceful nation. It's a peace-loving nation, at least. And through its peace-loving nature, it becomes very much liked by everyone on the islands. But we quickly see a struggle for power between these two will lead to a small island disagreement, who owns what island, and that kind of comes up. And this guy takes over this island, and that island down south of it a bit. I don't know if this is a kind of peninsula of it, but with that, we do see that these islands are now filled in, and the Filipinos are very much ready. Also, this guy managed to buy these islands from Taiwan, and eventually we quickly see that these regions will be bought by Taiwan, who quickly starts to put them to use and starts to develop some very good farms over here. These farms will be known as spice farms, and with these they will start to monopolize the spice trade. These guys over here do have spices and all of that, but we finally see that over here in Sumatra, the first Sumatran nation to ever actually land on it, to land on the Sumatran lands, not the first Sumatran nation, quickly takes over all of the Malaccan Strait over here. And we quickly see that with all of this being taken at this point, it's very clear that this nation is trying to increase its trade and trying to also put not sanctions, but well, kind of tariffs on getting through the Malaccan Strait. So basically, that's it. That's the video. Thank you guys for watching. I'm just gonna see you guys next time. If you liked the video, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.